Late at night, when the museum emptied and silence pressed gently against its vast halls, a man named Samuel walked with slow, deliberate steps, pushing his mop bucket across polished floors that reflected dim golden lights. Samuel had worked as the night janitor for 16 years, long enough to know every creaking board, every shadow curling beneath the displays, every quiet breath of the old building that carried memories of civilizations and people long gone. Yet in all those years, he had never truly felt he belonged anywhere. Not in the world outside, and not even within the walls that held relics of ancient faith, courage, grief, and hope. His life had folded inward after the passing of his wife and the painful drifting away of his only daughter, whose bitterness toward him grew sharper with every year. He carried this loss like a stone in his chest, and though he moved through the museum as if nothing could touch him, his heart had been sealed shut for so long. He no longer remembered what it felt like to pray with longing rather than resignation. But on this particular night, as he paused before an exhibit of worn pottery rescued from a desert temple, he felt something stir, fragile as a whisper. He rested his hand gently atop the mop handle, and with no audience but the mute artifacts around him, he spoke a soft prayer, barely above a breath, asking God not for miracles, but simply for the strength to live another day without collapsing under the weight of loneliness. He did not expect anyone to hear it, not heaven, not earth, but the words slipped out of him like a confession he had carried too long. He wiped his eyes quickly, embarrassed at the emotion rising from so deep a place he thought it had died years ago. After finishing his shift, he walked out into the cold night, unaware that the prayer had lingered in the stillness of the museum, echoing in silence that seemed to hold it with tender reverence. The next morning, when Samuel returned to finish a task he had forgotten, the museum was full of voices, laughter, and hurried footsteps. A school group had arrived for an early tour, children weaving between displays with wide eyes and chaperones calling after them. Samuel stepped aside, hoping to remain invisible. But one child, a small boy with a red backpack and hair sticking up in all directions, stopped near him, staring with curiosity not at the relics but at Samuel himself. The boy tugged at his sleeve just as Samuel turned to leave. The touch startled him. He had grown so unused to gentle contact. The boy asked in a quiet but fearless voice why someone who worked at night would look sad even in the morning light. Samuel blinked, unsure how to answer. No one had asked about his sadness in years. No one had cared to see it. The boy waited patiently, his eyes clear and sincere. Samuel knelt down because it felt wrong to tower over such honesty. He told the boy that sometimes grown-ups carry stories inside their hearts that feel too heavy to speak aloud. The boy nodded thoughtfully, then asked another question, one that pierced through Samuel like a beam of unexpected light. Do you think God still listens when people talk very quietly? Like they're scared their own hearts will break if they speak too loud? The museum world around them fell silent in Samuel's mind. He could still hear the children laughing distantly. But this child's question struck the core of him, unlocking a place he had kept sealed for so many years that he no longer recognized the warmth that suddenly bloomed there. He swallowed hard, remembering his whispered prayer from the night before. He asked the boy why he wanted to know. The child explained that his grandmother prayed like that, quietly, trembling as if the words might disappear because she missed someone she loved. Samuel felt tears gather before he could stop them. He realized he had prayed the same way the previous night, trembling, afraid, hoping not to be heard, but to be held. The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He said his grandmother always told him to give this message to anyone who looked like they forgot they were still loved. It was a simple drawing, a crude heart, uneven but whole, and beneath it a single line written in a child's handwriting. God listens to small prayers too. Samuel's breath shuddered. He pressed the note against his chest, unable to speak for a moment. The boy smiled gently, then rejoined his group without another word, as though he had delivered something sacred and now his task was complete. Samuel remained kneeling on the polished floor, his reflection blurring in the shiny surface as tears finally escaped. Not with pain, but with release. Later that day, after the school group left and the museum quieted again, Samuel walked the halls differently. The relics surrounding him no longer looked like remnants of old stories belonging to distant people. They looked like testimonies that faith had survived fire, collapse, exile, and decay. He paused again before the pottery he had seen the night before. He placed the child's drawing beside it for just a moment, letting the soft glow of the overhead lights fall on both. He whispered another prayer, but this time it carried no fear. It carried longing and courage, a reaching outward rather than curling inward. He prayed for his daughter, whom he had not spoken to in 5 years, for the courage to call her and ask for forgiveness she might not give, and for the strength to rebuild something from the broken pieces of their past. He prayed for the boy who had seen him clearly when he thought he had become invisible, and he prayed that he would never again mistake silence for abandonment. When his shift ended that night, Samuel stood outside the museum with his phone in his hand, hesitating. The cold wind brushed against him, urging him forward. He finally pressed the call button, heart pounding. His daughter answered after the third ring, her voice cautious. Samuel could barely speak at first, but then the words came slow, trembling, honest. He told her he was sorry. He told her he missed her. He told her he prayed for her, even when he felt unworthy of saying her name before God. There was silence on the other end, long and uncertain, until he heard her crying. She told him she had been waiting for this call, unsure if he would ever make it. They talked for a long time, the years of distance slowly shrinking between their words. That night, as Samuel walked away from the museum, the city lights shimmered like small stars caught between earth and heaven. He looked up and thanked God for listening to small prayers, for sending answers through unexpected messengers, and for reminding him that hearts, no matter how long shut, can open again with the slightest touch of grace. He pressed the child's drawing inside his jacket pocket, close to his heart, knowing he would keep it for the rest of his life. Welcome, dear friend. This is Faith Light Stories, where every story reminds us that God never leaves us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening today. If this story reached you in a tender place, tell us in the comments what small prayer God once answered in your life. Your story may be the comfort someone else needs tonight.